Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Alberta Freemason podcast. I'm Preston Meyer, chaplain and past master of Acacia Lodge number 11 in Edmonton, and the editor of the Alberta Freemason magazine and podcast.
I am Right Worshipful Brother Tobias Terrill, past DDGM of Chinook Arts District and a member of many different concordant bodies throughout the Masonic structure.
I am Worshipful Brother John Hayes, currently Master of Highlands Unity Lodge 168, past Sovereign Grand Master of the Allied Masonic Degrees of Canada, and past Master Counselor of Edmonton Chapter, Order of DeMolay.
Very good. I'm Kevin Thomson. I'm the Grand Piper North this year. I think this is my third time in that position. And I'm also the executive officer of DeMolay, Alberta.
I'm Makayla Dory. I'm a past Honor Queen of Bethel number 13, Miss Alberta Job's Daughters 2022-2023, ADA Sweetheart 2023-2024, and Supreme Bethel Honor Junior Princess 2024-2025.
Liam Pike, Deputy Provincial Master Council of the Alberta DeMolay Association, past Master Council of Aurora Chapter.
Since it was founded by Frank Land in the early part of the 20th century, DeMolay has been affiliated with Freemasonry, and it spread from Kansas in Missouri all across the U.S. and Canada. It's had ups and downs and highs and lows, but it continues to be a vibrant youth group in Alberta, and Alberta Freemasons are proud to be associated with it. Job's Daughters is a parallel organization for young women, which is also affiliated with Freemasons across Canada and the United States. And so today we have a couple of guests from DeMolay and Job's Daughters, 2 DeMolay and 1 Job's Daughter. They have lots of experience, lived experience that they're currently living, and be interesting to hear how they feel DeMolay and Job's Daughters has improved their lives. So Makayla, if I could start with you, when you joined Job's Daughters, did you see yourself ending up where you are? And can you kind of narrate your trajectory into the young woman you are now?
My mom was a Joby when she was younger, so I was kind of always envisioning myself as a Joby. I didn't know 100% I'd be this far, but I always wanted to be someone that could be there for the younger people and someone that could support the younger people, and I hope I'm doing that. I remember when I was younger, our Supreme Bethel Honor Queen at the time, Paige Abrahamson, was around a lot and taking me under her wing almost. That really inspired me to try to do what I've done today.
The youth organizations have a bunch of different aspects, friendship and kind of a bond that you build up with the people in the group. But also there's learning, there's development, there's fun, and that all of them are combined. Which would you say is the thing that has struck you the most about your time in Job's Daughters?
The thing that has surprised me the most, I guess, would be, how close I am with some people who I don't think I'd be very close with outside of Joby's, but I love them to death. But it's honestly been an amazing experience to meet all people from different walks of life and get to know them as a person and who they are.
Liam, similar question to what I asked Makayla first. There's a lot of aspects to your trip in DeMolay. If you can think back to when you joined, are you where you thought you'd be? And have you discovered stuff about yourself that you didn't think you would by joining, a youth club?
I would definitely say I am where I want to be. Originally, I started coming around as a prospect when I was 11. I was initiated when I was 12. The first convention I went to, it was all new. It was all, whoa, what's that? But I walked in and there's this head table. There's a couple of guys sitting there, right? And they look really important. So I'm talking to Sam later on in the evening. I'm like, hey, who were those guys? What did they do? They talked a lot. And he explained it all to me. And I thought it was so amazing that anyone could be in a position like that to help all these people who joined the organization for one reason or another. So I wanted to be where they were so I could make that impact, so I could improve somebody's life.
So in looking at both websites for DeMolay and Jobs, the interesting thing is the first thing that I see on both is a commitment to inspiring and developing leadership and confidence within young people. Do you feel that the organization that you're involved in provides that type of growth and opportunity? And if so, how?
I'd definitely say I've grown as a person, not only from me being a 10-year-old to me being 18 now, but even in the last year, I'd say I've grown from someone who doesn't really speak up a lot to someone who isn't scared to almost.
What sort of programs does Jobs have that have allowed you to build that up?
I would say definitely my time as Miss was the not the program, but what made me really come out of my shell more, because I was kind of thrown into doing the public talking at Eastern Star or Grand Lodge and planning everything, not everything, pageant and talking and emceeing pageants.
What about you, Liam?
DeMolay is definitely a big one that builds leadership skills because it's all run by the youth. The adults almost never step in. They just sit there, and as long as we're not doing anything wrong, they don't butt in. So it teaches you very quick that you have to run this or else the organization is going to fail. And you have the older members to look up to help you out. On the speaking side, the public ceremonies are definitely huge ones that help with that. But I think the biggest thing that helps is just the social interaction at the major provincial wide events. You don't have a choice but to talk to people. You can sit off to the side if you want, but people are going to come and talk to you. It helps get you out of your shell a little bit.
How many Bethels and chapters do we have in the province here in Alberta?
There are 4 Bethels in Alberta total, 2 in Calgary and 2 in Edmonton.
There are 4 chapters in Alberta. There's one in Cold Lake. That's where I originated from. The one here in Edmonton. There's one in Calgary, and then there's one in Red Deer. And then we just started one in Saskatoon.
And maybe this is when we get Kevin into the conversation and talk about his role as a senior DeMolay.
It's kind of one of those things that, like John, you were able to step away from it. I know it's still part of your life. And I think talking to a lot of senior DeMolays, they do have that connection to people that you just get a different feeling from those like high school friends. Like we tend to lose touch after a while with junior high school friends, but those DeMolay brothers or those sisters and your Job's daughters seem to last forever. But as a senior DeMolay, I just kind of kept coming back to the organization. I told myself when the chapter's like 30 people strong, I'll just step away for a bit. And then it got to a good point, and I thought I could step away. And it's not in trouble. That's not why I came back. It's just that there's something missing when you're not involved. And to some of us, the call just keeps on ringing. So I came back, and then now I'm the executive officer. So we have our DeMolay Canada, which is national, of course. We are just part of that whole group. So we have 58 members in Alberta right now, and we're growing. We've been growing for the last 4 years, which is really good. COVID was a struggle for everybody, I know, but I was so proud that DeMolay guys just kept meeting online, doing what they could to keep their connections going. We survived that COVID. We're on the growing spurt, so I've been talking more and more to lodges that are very interested in what DeMolay is and what it can do.
I wonder if Liam or Makayla would like to talk about a little bit in general terms the ceremonies that perhaps set these youth groups apart from a lot of other youth groups, the degrees that the initiates go through when they become members.
I think one of the biggest public ceremonies that'll really change the way you look at DeMolay for me will always be the Ceremony of Light. The Ceremony of Light talks about the importance of brotherhood. No matter how many of the virtues or morals that you have or you lack on, no matter what, comradeship will always be there. That connection with your brothers, and they will always help you relight all those flames that went out. They will always help you get back on your feet.
And that's a public ceremony, right?
It is, yes.
Makayla, how about Job's Daughters? The ceremonies there are less known to the five guys here. So maybe lead us through what they mean to the Job's Daughter member who starts to go through.
At Bethel 18, we just did 3 ceremonies: the friendship ceremony, the Bible ceremony, and a message to our founder, I think, which is something every Bethel across the world has to do in March to honor the founder of Job's Daughters. Most of them are about how grateful we are for Job's Daughters and this wonderful woman who brought everyone together. But I think a similar ceremony to what Liam was talking about would be the Rose Talk, I think. When someone is elected marshal, which is the bottom of the line in Job's Daughters. Um, they have someone present them a rose, and there's a talk about how the girl is the rose and how the rose is growing as the girl grows, and the thorns are the trials that they go through, and the leaves are their support, and how they will bloom into the honored queen eventually. And I just think it's beautiful, and it's my favorite thing that I hear.
Interesting. And the founder, of course, was Ethel T. Weed Mick.
Yes.
Um, and so the founder of DeMolay was Frank S. Land. Interestingly, they're both from the Midwest West. Omaha for Job's Daughters and Kansas City for DeMolay.
There was a lot of people missing because of the war. A lot of male figures in the society were taken up. And so, speaking for DeMolay in 1919, there was a tremendous need for male role models. So Frank Sherman Land built the organization on that principle. And so it's kind of funny though because as you pointed out, they're right next to each other in the States. And I was trying to find the Rainbow Girls because the I know we don't have Rainbow Girls to talk about here, but in 1919, DeMolay was created in Kansas City. Then we had Job's Daughters the year later, and then Rainbow Girls was created the year after that. So right away you find 3 organizations um, in the same area, and they spread really, really quickly because people were thirsting for togetherness. And it's an interesting, timely discussion because that thirst, I think, is coming back. I think we got out of COVID here, and before COVID, it felt like society was becoming more isolated, and people didn't value togetherness as much. And I think I see a trend where people are uh, wanting to belong to something more than just family and friends, and they are searching for these kind of groups.
Within our Masonic structures, we have a charitable component, it seems, with every organization. With Grand Lodge, we have the Masonic Foundation, we have the Masonic Higher Education Bursary Fund. Other organizations have Royal Arch has Youth Endowment and so forth. Even Eastern Star has a connection to Alzheimer's and dementia. What particular charitable organizations does Job's have? We'll start there, and then after maybe Liam, if you want to maybe mention something.
Job's Daughters, I believe their philanthropic thing is Hike. It raises money so that kids who don't necessarily have the insurance or coverage to fully pay or pay at all for hearing equipment are able to have access to that and are able to live.
Live better?
Live
Yes.
better. And what about Liam for DeMolay?
I don't know of any organizations that like DeMolay Canada or DeMolay Alberta, the big major bodies, donate to directly, but I know each one of the chapters does a lot of fundraising and puts a lot of effort into the communities so they can give back. It's one of the biggest things that DeMolay offers the young men, is that feeling of giving back. Doing fundraisers, for example, Aurora chapter does Tabor corn sales up in Cold Lake every year, and they bring in $6,000, and usually they donate about $1,000 to the Humane Society. And then they set aside a few bags of corn and they donate that to the um, food bank.
Hmm.
I don't know of any organizations, like any big organizations that we donate to, but I know each one of the chapters is very driven on giving back to their community, and that's the kind of thing we like to promote.
It is really a individual thing, and I think it goes back to, DeMolay is ran by the youth, so to have a bunch of old people like me tell them where to spend their hard-earned money just seems to go against that whole philosophy that they need to decide what to do. So they do their fundraisers, they plan the fundraisers, they plan where to give the money, and it is something that the chapter decides through the democratic process that is kind of Robert's Rules of Order and everything like that. Through their own processes, very much like a meeting, a Masonic meeting, but they come up with their own plan and they execute it. And as an advisor, we're just there to make sure they don't get into any high risk situations or any kind of trouble like that. But otherwise, they plan, execute, and are the driving force. So that's one of the big things about this organization that I really appreciate.
And what's your futures in involvement with your specific bodies or within the Masonic structure in general?
I definitely want to keep being involved in Job's Daughters the best of my ability. A meeting back, we have a big sister, little sister program, which is like a mentorship program. Someone I've known since she was like 2 years old is my little sister, and she was like asking me, are you gonna be here in 2 years? Because Job's Daughters is 10 to 20. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to be here in 2 years. She's like, even 3 years? I'm like, if you want me here, I'll be here. And she just kept upping it. So as long as I can support those girls that want me there to support them, I will be there as much as I can.
Yeah, 100%. I've put a lot of thought into it, and it's a question I definitely like being asked. I would definitely like to join Freemasonry down the road a little bit. You know, done my schooling, have a job, stuff like that, but I would like to join Freemasonry.
You've been in Job's Daughters and DeMolay for 5, 8 years, that kind of range. In that time, what's the biggest disappointment that you've encountered in the organization?
Job's Daughters is very different from DeMolay in a lot of aspects. Some people try to make Job's Daughters more like DeMolay, which is frustrating because they are different groups where you can't just throw us in head first into the shallow end and expect us to know everything that's going on. Because Job's Daughters, where DeMolay is more youth run, unfortunately, Job's Daughters is more adult run. Even at the international level, it's mainly adults. It's the whole last time I said this, I was running for Miss International, but definitely a lot of the adult involvement was disappointing when I was younger because I was like, ooh, let's do this, and the adults are like, no. But I've learned to grow with that, or I've grown with that, and I've learned how to articulate my ideas better to the adults so that they aren't like, no, don't do that.
Our organization was founded by a Freemason. Our organization continues to run because Freemasons allow it to run. But sadly enough, I don't think there's enough involvement. We have a meeting every 2 weeks, and there's a festive board after where we like to mingle, we like to talk to people. It would be nice to see more Masons coming out to that. Adults guide you. They teach youth, and that's how it's always been. No matter where you look in history, adults have always taught youth how to do what they want to do or how to do what they need to do. If I want to learn something, I'm going to come to, let's say, Dad Thomson and say, can you teach me how to do this? More adults or more Masons who have that allows for a broader range of skills or abilities that can be taught.
Makayla, do you have anything to add to that?
Unfortunately, that Job's Daughters and DeMolay aren't necessarily widely known about. Because I know Job's Daughters has meetings second and fourth Fridays downtown Freemason Hall where lots of Masons meet and don't realize it, but also then there's Bethel 18 on first and third Tuesdays, the Edmonton chapter first and third Fridays at Highlands Hall. Bethel 23 in Calgary, I think, is Mondays, which is unfortunate, but there's always something somewhere that people could come on down and just see what it's about. And I have heard at every meeting a Mason has attended that we could teach you guys a few things about your memory work. So hear me out. We could, if you guys came out, we could just give a little bit of tips if you want.
A lot of my brothers, when I grew up in DeMolay, we had our advisors, and most of them were Master Masons, and you don't see them the same as other Masons because they're playing a different role. And a lot of my brothers never got into Freemasonry because just that fact that a lot of lodges wouldn't, there wasn't that interaction. So there was a few Masons involved in their lives, and that was really important. But I think they wanted more, and so they never got interested in Freemasonry. So I think we can change that because one of my favorite stories is getting Redwood 193, my mother lodge, involved in DeMolay. So they are a sponsoring body now. It's still a struggle to get them out to the meetings, but the odd time we have, I remember one brother, he was helping one of the DeMolays with his tie. And I think that just kind of shows, if you were to put that on a card, what DeMolay and Masonries could do for each other. Just that teaching that Liam was talking about. I think it's really important. So it's those connections. Can our Alberta Masons help these young men make these connections that they need in life? There's lots of guys, 18, 20, looking for a job, and maybe they have the right connection that they need to meet in one of our lodges. And without without getting out there and meeting each other, we're never going to find those. So I think I think it's a two-way street for sure, but there's probably a lot more Masons that can come down than DeMolay can go up right now.
I literally work for a Mason. I got the job because he came out and his daughter is interested in Jobies, and um he came up to me, he's like, "Hey, we have a catering gig tomorrow, you want to come?" I'm like, "Yes." But it's that support that everyone is looking for and is there if we just look for it.
What's a 2-minute quick talk that you would say about why they should join your respective bodies?
I've had mine since I was 9, but Job's Daughters is a youth group for girls between the ages of 10 and 20. It teaches leadership skills, public speaking, and respect for one another and our elders. We do fun activities. We have meetings that follow the Robert's Rule of Order, and we learn how to be functional members of society. If you're interested, you can either contact Bethel 13 or 18. Our Bethel Guardians are Kathy Ansorger and Amanda Barr. Our emails are Bethel 18 and 13 at gmail.com. I'm not sure how to contact Calgary because I'm not from Calgary. If anyone knows her who runs 23, and the only person I know from one is Angel, who is my junior miss. So I can't really help there, but if you're interested, reach out there.
And are you on social media and do you have a website? And
Yes, the website is just Job's Daughters, I believe. And there's Facebooks for all the Bethels. I know people use Facebook a lot, so
Okay.
learn about our events. Everyone posts there all the time.
The Order of DeMolay teaches many important lessons, and the ones that we hold most sacred are our 7 cardinal virtues: filial love, love of a parent, reverence for sacred things. That just speaks to your relationship with whomever or whatever you worship. Courtesy, fidelity, comradeship, cleanliness, patriotism. Without those 7 virtues, no young man's journey through life will ever be complete. And DeMolay does a really good job of teaching you how to instill those values in yourself. Along with it teaches you your etiquette skills, your public speaking, your interpersonal skills. And you can register right at the demolaycanada.ca website.
Well, I think from a parent aspect, because a lot of time the guys talk to the youth and the parents, they trying to figure out what this is about. And I just say to them, there is a for their son or daughter a a way for them to get out of their shell. A way for them. I've seen so many youth who are just scared to talk to people, scared to talk to adults, who through DeMolay and Job's Daughters have grown out of that significantly, where they're very comfortable in meeting interviews and meeting future employees. They're comfortable speaking in front of a room of 130 to 1,000 people. Um, those are skills that you don't get in any other organization, and DeMolay and Job's Daughters gives it.
Thanks to Makayla and Liam, and thanks to Kevin for your time here today. We really appreciate the input from the youth groups, and I, as a former member of one of the youth groups, would enthusiastically encourage anybody who has a young person between the age of, say, 9 and 14 to talk to them about whether they'd be interested. They're a great place, as they say, to grow a little bit, to have fun, and to meet some very high quality young people who you can spend some time with and trust.
And both of you will have tables at annual communication, I believe, for Jobs and for DeMolay that we're working on getting there.
I expect to see both of you there.
Our Miss Alberta, Alex Zoff, will most likely be there.
Oh, okay.
I know Liam is working on it with the other officers of ADA, but they're going to have a basket at Grand Lodge, and they'll be selling tickets. So expect to see them there, and the basket will be a whole bunch of Masonic goodies that people would really like to have.
Bethel 13 will also be having a bake sale at Grand Lodge, so be ready for that.
I do expect the Masons of Alberta and the Masons who are visiting from outside our jurisdiction to support you in these fundraising efforts.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Alberta Freemason, with voices from across Alberta and branching outside our typical age group. We've also got music from our Grand Organist, Very Worshipful Brother Lardeon Ranon. Happy to meet, sorry to part, happy to meet again.